In the heart of Cedarville, a quaint town veiled in the mystique of its own past, there existed an urban legend that bound the community in a silent pact of fear. Shadows on Main Street. The haunting legacy of a murderous phantom uncovers the chilling narrative that thrust the unsuspecting town into the grips of a terrifying enigma. The story begins on a crisp autumn evening as the sun dips below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across Main Street. The town, usually bustling with life, adopts a deserted facade as nightfall approaches, with whispers of a haunting figure who roams the streets after dark. This figure, known to the locals as the Wandering Shade, was thought to be the town's local homeless man, Benjamin Morrow. Benjamin, with his tattered coat and unkempt beard, was a familiar sight, often seen muttering to himself or staring into the distance, with a haunted look in his eyes. However, the truth behind his identity was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Rumors began to circulate when several townsfolk went missing under mysterious circumstances. Each disappearance occurred after dark, with the victims last seen walking alone on Main Street. The local police, led by Sheriff Dawson, launched an investigation, but with little evidence and no witnesses, the cases remained unsolved, casting a shadow of unease over Cedarville. One fateful night, a group of teenagers, driven by a mix of bravado and curiosity, decided to uncover the truth behind the Wandering Shade. Armed with flashlights and a handheld camera, they ventured out after dark, determined to document their encounter. The group consisted of Jackie, the de facto leader, Sarah, his fearless cousine, Max, the skeptic, and Lily, the believer in all things supernatural. As they walked down Main Street, the only sounds were their footsteps echoing off the silent buildings and the distant howl of the wind. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its movements slow and deliberate. It was Benjamin, or so they thought. The air around them grew colder, and an oppressive sense of dread filled the night. The figure stopped and turned towards them, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. In a moment of panic and confusion, the group scattered, running in different directions. Jake and Sarah found themselves cornered in an alleyway, their exit blocked by the advancing figure. As it drew closer, the air became thick with the stench of decay, and the true nature of the entity before them became horrifyingly clear. This was no homeless man. This was the ghost of Albert Knox, a serial killer from Cedarville's past whose spirit had been masquerading as Benjamin Morrow. Knox had been executed decades ago, but his malevolent spirit lingered, seeking revenge on the descendants of those who had wronged him. The teenagers, realizing they were facing a supernatural entity, fought desperately for their lives. Jake, remembering an old town tale, began reciting a prayer that was said to ward off evil spirits, while Sarah, using her quick thinking, found a piece of broken mirror and reflected the moonlight directly into the ghost's eyes. The ghost of Knox howled in rage and pain, his form flickering and becoming unstable. Seizing the moment, Jake and Sarah made their escape, running as fast as their legs could carry them back to the safety of the town's lights. Meanwhile, Max and Lily, who had been separated from the group, encountered Sheriff Dawson and quickly explained the situation. Armed with this new knowledge and an old town legend that hinted at how to banish Knox's spirit, they devised a plan. The legend spoke of a talisman buried with Knox's unmarked grave that held his spirit to this world. Destroying it could send him back to the afterlife. The group, now joined by Jake and Sarah, set out to the old cemetery on the outskirts of town, guided by the light of the full moon. The cemetery was a place of unease where the whisper of the dead filled the air. They found Knox's grave hidden away in the forgotten corner of the graveyard and began digging. As they unearthed the talisman, a locket belonging to Knox's first victim, the ghost of Albert Knox appeared, more terrifying than ever, fueled by the threat of his impending banishment. A violent confrontation ensued, with the spirit unleashing his fury upon the living. The air crackled with supernatural energy as Knox sought to claim their souls. But the teenagers, driven by a determination to end the cycle of fear, chanted the ancient words of the banishment ritual, their voices growing louder against the howling wind. With a final effort, Jake smashed the locket against a gravestone, shattering it into pieces. A deafening scream tore through the night as Knox's spirit convulsed, his form disintegrating into a whirlwind of shadows before vanishing completely. Silence descended upon the cemetery,